Hi everyone, Tony Tonkin here. Have another chat to you about an issue which is of particular concern, as are most of these issues to me personally. And this is one which I've already posted on my on the Child Protection Party Facebook and YouTube page, so or site or whatever. So if you haven't, if you're really bored about this one, you can go back to them where I've talked about this issue before, but I'm putting it up on my channel, the Tony Tonkin Show, just to let you know that you can also watch it here. So thanks for being with me. So the issue really is about the fact that so many children seem to be neglected by the child protection system. And for those of you that understand who I am, this is a topic which concerns me because of the number of people that I work with in this particular space. And I wanted to talk today about the fact that the child protection system, even though it's designed to help families to deal with issues relating to the well-being of their kids, that the system fails everyone. A lot of the people we work with are families who, or a lot of people I work with are families who have had their children removed by the system, who don't get their children back because the system refuses to work with them appropriately, that judges them, that determines that they're just bad parents and they should never have their kids. And I'm going to have a look today at a contrary view, which is about children who who die as a result of neglect of the very system that's supposed to look after them and care for them. And this is an important conversation because it's, we don't tend to take notice of what happens around us, particularly around kids and the child protection system, until we're told about the children that die when this system is supposed to be designed to protect all children. It's supposed to not only protect the children, it's supposed to encourage parents to do better so that they can have the children in their care where they should be in the first place. But it doesn't always work out that way. So there was an article on the ABC News site which I thought I'd bring to everybody's attention. So this is the article that I'm referring to. And here it says, Victoria's Child Protection Service. For those of you that don't live in Australia, Victoria is a state of Australia. So the Victorian Child Protection Service is being placed under the spotlight at a coronial inquest examining the deaths of 3 murdered children and a toddler who died of blunt force trauma. So these are kids that were placed where the department knew about what was happening in relation to them, but for varying reasons refused to get involved in a way that they do with lots of other families. And in these particular cases, these children died because the department simply refused to participate in potentially in these lives of these parents, and as their lack of participation resulted in the death of these children. Naturally, that's a concern, should be a concern to you, because it certainly is a concern to me. So the article goes on to say the children who were aged between 6 months and 15 years at the time of their deaths are unrelated, except for the fact that they had some involvement with the state's child protection services. So we'll go through each of these. So child 1 was 2.5 years old when she died. Prior to the death, there had been 6 notifications made to CPS about her family. They included concerns about physical discipline by her parents and the mother's parenting capability and the children's exposure to family violence. Now, normally, they're really sound reasons in order not only to investigate, but also to remove a child in the interim while they're doing that investigation. At some point, the mother notified CPS of her relationship with a new partner. Criminal history check found he had extensive criminal history, including family violence. It's a bit unclear as to why she contacted them in particular, but she did. She probably did the right thing, I guess. So the Child Protection Services closed its involvement in July 2015 after noting the mother's engagement with recommended support services. The mother had said, these are the support services I'm now going to, and as a result of that, I'm doing all the right things, and therefore there's no need for you to be involved with me. And I guess one could argue that's reasonable, providing she continued going to those services, which clearly she didn't. A failure of the child protection system, they'll wipe their hands of you and then see what happens later, because they're not interested in the child beyond the investigation. This is a problem with departments in general, where they tend to say, well, we've done as much as we think we can and we don't have the resources to be further involved, so we're not going to be. In this case, it brought about the death of a child. In late August, child one's body was found by police. Her cause of death was found to be the result of internal blood loss associated with the blunt force trauma. The woman's partner was arrested and tried for murder, but was acquitted in 2016. And one's got to wonder, I don't know the case, haven't looked at it specifically, but one's got to wonder, what in the world was that all about? Why was this person acquitted of what apparently was the child being beaten with a blunt instrument and then dying? Lack of evidence, I guess, another problem. But the child should not have died in the first place, because the department relinquished all their responsibility around this person, even though it was obvious that they needed to be involved. Child 2, 2 reports were made to Child Protection when Child 2's mother was pregnant with him. The first concerned her ability to provide adequate care for him, while the second report alleged she was a drug user, had a gambling addiction, and, on top of all of that, was homeless. A month before he was born, a social worker contacted CPS and arranged a pre-birth meeting. Very sensible. Fair enough. You're concerned, you organise a meeting to chat to the parent or the parents so that you can establish exactly what conditions this child is going to be born into. By the time child 2 was born in December 2015, CPS had neither met the mother, so they made arrangements to, but they, for whatever reason, they chose not to. Perhaps overworked, perhaps just don't have the staff, perhaps just didn't friggin' care, who knows, nor undertaken a pre-birth meeting with her to determine future steps. They ignored her. A month later, in January 2016, CPS referred her to a support program. She did not engage until April. So they hadn't engaged with her. Then clearly she was probably thinking, well, they're not interested in me, I'll just go off and do my own thing. So they showed no interest. As a result, neither did the mother. Can't blame the mother too much for that. Nevertheless, CPS closed the case as the mother was willing to engage with the program, and the original concerns were recorded as being unsubstantiated. So what was the original issues? The original issues was that concerned provided that they were, so she obviously, the allegations were that she was a drug user, she had a gambling addiction, and was homeless. And either all of those threes were found to be, well, maybe she had a home by then, who knows. However, the gambling problem and the addictions were not substantiated. So one wonders whether they drug tested her, what did they or did they not do. Days later, though, there were 2 more notifications made about the mother, which were assessed as indicating a significant and immediate risk of harm of child 2. Okay, another set of notifications. They probably can't deny that, probably can't say these were unsubstantiated. They must have investigated them. The same month, though, the mother began a relationship with a new man. He was subject to 2 community corrections orders. So this man had a history, and that should have been another warning sign. So on top of the other 3 issues, we've now got a 4th, which is she's associating with a man who potentially is violent. In June, after smoking methamphetamines, the mother, so did she have a drug problem? I bet she did. And yet the initial claims weren't substantiated. And the mother left her child with a new partner. He later called her to say, so she had left him with him, or she went out and did her thing, got high, whatever. And he later called her to say her son was not breathing. Child 2 died at just 6 months of age. How horrific is that? The mother's partner was later charged and found guilty of murder. Oh, thank God for that. He was sentenced to 34 years in prison with a non-parole period of 27 years. She should never have got involved with a man who clearly was violent. it cost the life of that child. Child 3. So child 3 was born in 2001. The reports to CPS in relation to her and her siblings date back to that year. They related to various concerns, including parental drug use, mental health issues, family violence, homelessness, and sexual abuse. In 2012, she was removed from the mother's care and did not have contact with her again until 2015. At the time of her death, she was still in foster care. Right? The mother, meanwhile, had started and ended a relationship with another man. During their relationship, 2 reports were made to Victorian police about family violence, while additional documents revealed he began making threats to her mother in public. The latest known threat was in February 2017 when he told a friend he would burn her. How violent? How violent is all of that, you know? A week later, the mother's former partner set fire to the alcove where they were staying. Child 3 died aged 15, along with her mother and her mother's new partner. The perpetrator pleaded guilty to all 3 murders and was sentenced to 30 years in prison with a non-parole period of 24. So again, the department chose not to get involved as a result of that, and they'd failed to deal with the domestic violence of her ex-partner, and not only the child died, but also did 2 other people. Child 4. Child 4's mother struggled with mental health issues and episodes of psychosis following the birth of the children. She had a multiple inpatient psychiatric admission in 2013-2016. During these episodes, she had delusional and paranoid thoughts, including that a family was conspiring to kill her. She also became aggressive. Real reasons to remove a child, I would suggest. Between 2013 and May 2017, 5 reports were made to Child Protection Services ahead of the child's 4th death. All reports, aside from the first, were closed at the intake phase, so no one had the time to deal with it. And because they lacked the time, the resources, or just didn't friggin' care, a child dies. In June 2017, when she was caring for her 4th child, the mother contacted her husband, telling him she thought child 4 was dead and she had stabbed him. In 2018, the mother was sentenced to a 30-month community correction order with conditions about her mental assessment. The inquest was begun on Monday and will run for 2 weeks. So here we have just, I don't know how many other cases there are that relate to children being removed or not removed, and the department just not participating. And these are just the deaths. There are lots of other cases, I think, where the department chooses not to get involved, where children are harmed, sexually assaulted, physically abused, emotionally and psychologically destroyed, and the department allows that to happen because they fail to get involved. It's wrong at every possible level. And as a result of their lack of involvement, children die. And I would just wonder how many kids out there are being harmed because the department refuses to respond. Now, the department responding doesn't necessarily mean that the child has to be removed, I agree. But what it does mean is that they need to follow through on their assessment of the parents. And that if the parent needs to do some courses, then they make sure that they do them, that they continue to have contact with the family to ensure that the children are safe, if the children remain with the families, all that sort of stuff should happen. And there should be occasions when there's just a red flag that says we've done enough, but nothing has changed significantly, and that we need to remove the child. But when a department refuses to get involved or simply disregards some of the notifications, now, I agree that a lot of notifications that are made are often spurious. They're done by people that don't like the parent for whatever reason, and as a result of that, sometimes remove the child when they perhaps shouldn't. But this is part of the agreement. This is part of the assessment process. It's flawed. It's done by people that are inexperienced social workers who just don't have the knowledge, the background, the professional know-how in order to be able to assess some of these situations. And as a result, kids get harmed. Even worse, kids die. And I think this is atrocious. I'd be interested to know what you think, and I would really like to think that if you could find the time to subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, let people know that that you are interested in knowing more about some of these issues that we talk about here on the Tony Tompkins Show. So thanks for being with me. Take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, folks, be safe.